Am I the asshole for telling my sister's boyfriend the truth about her allergy? Editing my post to add that I'm not American. A trip to the hospital or seeing a doctor would not cost my sister any money, she wouldn't get a bill for it. Yes, we pay taxes, but we do not get billed directly by the hospital or doctor. Also, if she was really allergic, she could have gotten an EpiPen under the healthcare system. She doesn't have one, so she had to buy them herself and pretend they were prescribed. My sister and I live in different territories. She lives 4,000 kilometers south of here, so a 2-day drive or 4.5-hour flight away. We try to have a visit at least once a year. This time she brought her boyfriend to visit. I've never met him in person, only over a video call. She says they are thinking of living together. They stayed in my guest room. On the 6th day of their stay here, her boyfriend had a freak out on me because I was preparing a meal for us and he saw I had a food in my kitchen that my sister is allergic to. I put allergic in quotes because she isn't allergic to anything. Her boyfriend thought she was. She's told him she has a deadly allergy to a certain food. She went so far as to purchase EpiPens and wear a medical bracelet. She had told him stories about almost dying from accidentally or unknowingly eating this food when we were kids. Her boyfriend was angry I had it in my kitchen and did not clean my kitchen and cooking utensils before their visit. Which I would have done if my sister was really allergic. But she isn't. She hates it, but she isn't allergic, and to me there is a big difference. If there was even a chance my sister was allergic, I wouldn't have it in my kitchen. I told her boyfriend the truth, that my sister hates it but she's not allergic. That she's always hated the food. Now she's furious at me. Note that I had the food item she hates in my kitchen because I like it, but I wasn't putting it in any meal for my sister because I know she hates it. I'm not removing my food from house just because she hates it though. She's furious that I told him the truth. She argued with me. Her boyfriend argued with her. The last day and a half of their visit was awkward. From what I got from my sister, she started telling everyone she was allergic when she went to university so she wouldn't have to eat it. I was already in university here, so I didn't know she was telling people this. Our parents were divorced and we lived with Mum. Dad lives on the other side of the country. 3,700 kilometers away. We did see him, but Mum was the who did everything for us. Our relationship with Dad is better since Mum passed. But Dad, his wife and his sister would not know my sister had an allergy and would take her word for it. Her boyfriend has met them as the three of them are my sister's only family besides me. Basically, my sister says I should have gone along with her lie and not told her boyfriend the truth. She says the difference between hating and allergic is small and I shouldn't have told him. She's furious at me. Was I wrong to tell him the truth? I'm not trying to be rude or condescending or anything, but is your sister not all there mentally? I don't understand how she thinks A, it was okay to lie. B, that hating something and being allergic are basically the same thing, and C, how she believes you could be in the wrong here. Definitely 1000% not the asshole. Not the asshole. I'm so tired of people faking or lying about allergies. Just say you don't like it. Not the asshole. You didn't know, so it's not your fault for clearing things up based on your understanding. If she wanted to make sure she didn't get exposed, she should have told you about it and gotten your buy-in. Then she could have decided if she wanted to stay at your place or not. AITA for all the reasons stated. Plus, this can also be why others with actual anaphylaxis can be treated as not allergic. Not the asshole. Your sister admits it was a lie. It's not wise to get caught up in other people's lies. And yes, there is a difference between hating and allergy. Am I the asshole for telling mom, sister to stop volunteering me for stuff? Had to shorten due to character length. Will add context in comments. I'm a 29 male working full-time and part-time. Here's the situation. Well, recently, I keep getting texts from my mom and my sister. And it will always be something like, "Hey, can you help Mrs. Jones install her sliding glass door?" And that was fine at first. Because they were asking me. And usually I would say no. But recently they changed the way they said it, like, "You're going to go help Mrs. Jones, right? You're going to go help Mrs. Holmes clean her garage, right? You're going to go over to Mrs. Stone's place to go shovel manure, right?" It's gotten to the point where they just expect me to know things are wrong and that I have to go fix them. I'm already tired from the long hours I work. And they'll just keep texting me asking if I have any free time during the weekend. And if I don't answer the texts, then they call. It came to a boil when my dad called, and then I picked up and he asked me about it, saying, "Your mom and your sister wanted me to call because they said you'll say yes if I call." and then proceeded to ask me about if I could help out their friends, neighbors. But I already lived 30 minutes away from them, and I just felt like snapping right then and there. I already would have to have an hour commute in total just to get there and back. It came to a head when we were at a family reunion. And my mom and sister were going around volunteering me for projects without even telling me. Then when I said I couldn't, "Oh? Your mom and sister said you were available?" I couldn't take it anymore, so I told my mom and sister we needed to talk. But they told me, "If you want to talk to us, you can say it right here." They said it loud enough to get everyone's attention, and I just straight up said, "I can't keep up with all the things they're volunteering me for and it's driving me nuts." Then they say, "Well, some of them can't move around so well anymore, so they need your help. Don't you want to help them?" I then tried to explain that I'm already working full-time, and I barely have any time to myself anymore, and that it's not cool to volunteer me for projects not knowing my schedule or just assuming I don't have anything else going on. I brought up an example where I had a dentist appointment, and I get a call from my mom asking where I was. And that I was supposed to go help out Mrs. Jones with something. But I told her how I had a dentist appointment scheduled for today. And she told me I shouldn't double book. But I had told Mrs. Jones a week ago I couldn't help that day because of it. Then my mom and sister start to raise their voices at me saying I'm overreacting, and that they don't ask me for much. You're right, you just tell people I'll do it without asking me first. In hindsight, I know I could have handled that better. Not the asshole. From now on, if the person that needs help does not contact you themselves, the answer should always be no. You are an adult, not living at home, have your own life, and work 1.5 jobs. You don't have time. They can help out themselves. Not the asshole you handled it reasonably at first, but by this point with how long it's drug on id have told them to go fuck themselves. It sounds like you are getting into a viscous cycle of trying to get your mom and sister to stop volunteering you. I suggest that you simple stop any discussion and just say sorry but no, I'm busy. Don't provide any other reasons. Calmly say over and over again, sorry but I'm not able to help, sorry but I have other plans, sorry but the answer is still no. You can do this, good luck. I'd hang up the phone or walk away when they bring it up. Repeat, I am not taking on jobs you volunteer me for, over and over rather than arguing. Not the asshole. I really don't know how else you could have handled it. You weren't rude, and your repeated, no, means nothing to them. What else could you do? Sue, is there a reason your mom or sister can't help clean out a garage or shovel manure? Neither are specialized jobs, no skill set required. And if you work slow, no major fitness, beyond being upright and able, required either. Why aren't your mom or sister doing these things? At 29, your mom is my mom's age or younger. My mom changed the timing belt on her tractor a few weeks ago. Today she was using the chainsaw to clean up downed trees. Am I the asshole guy keeps parking in front of my driveway, thinks I'm being unreasonable? We moved into our house a few months ago. Parking on the street is pretty tight, but we've got a driveway with a dropped curb, so shouldn't be a problem for us. However, I think the last occupants had allowed people to park over the gates because they didn't have a car themselves. When we first moved in, people would park across our gates all the time, blocking in my car. This happened on one occasion when I was supposed to visit my 93-year-old granddad. I wasn't able to visit him and he passed away the next morning. After that, I put a sign on the gate asking people not to park there. This has gone well for a few months. Only now, the same person who blocked me in when my grumps died has blocked me in again, this time when I needed to help my sister out with my nephew who had to go to hospital yesterday. This person left no note to say which house they are at, and I have severe anxiety, so after trying one house and failing, surveying the other houses and not being able to tell just where this person has gone. All of the houses seem to have space on their own driveways, and one neighbor had just returned from being out, so assumed it wouldn't be them. I got in the car, opened my gates up as far as they would go and waited. The person eventually comes out after about 2 minutes and gives me a look like I've just shat on his shoes. I asked him if the car was his, he said it was. I asked if he could not park in front of our gates as we have a dropped curb and require access. He told me that I was being rude. Who do I think I'm talking to? Can't I see there's an issue with parking on the street? Couldn't I have just asked? I said I could see there was an issue, but that's not my problem. He should park down the street and walk up. Admittedly, I did start raising my voice because I was extremely frustrated. He then called me immature, kept saying I was being rude and not to talk to him like that. His missus and the woman who owns the house he was visiting then come out and also start having a go at me, saying much the same stuff. There's issues with parking on the street and I'm being rude. I ought to note at this point that the owners of the house were the ones who had just returned, and they had been able to park up down the street and walk up. This is after the car has been parked in front of my drive for at least half an hour. I pointed this out and kept getting more abuse and shouted at by 3 people. Just because I wanted to be able to leave my drive that I should have constant access to get on and off. Am I the asshole? Update. My husband went to confront the neighbor. He conceded that his son was in the wrong yesterday. No apologies or anything, just excuses about the heat and being tired. But, they agreed they don't want any conflict, so, hopefully, the entitled son stops blocking my car on the drive. If he does it again I will be straight onto the council. Not the asshole. I think in UK it's actually illegal to park blocking a drop curb. Next time call the police and say someone blocked you in and you can't get out of your driveway. Request they tow the car. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You should call a tow truck and have their car removed. Crazy that they think it's okay to park you in. Not the asshole. Just call the cops immediately. Let them do the confrontation. Not the asshole. You're not rude. You're way nicer than I would have been. Everyone who's ever driven a car knows not to block driveways. That's why only that one entitled prick is doing it. His behavior releases you from trying to be the nice guy. Time to get him towed. Am I the asshole for not feeding my husband because he caused me to have an allergic reaction? He technically didn't cause an allergic reaction, but he pushed me into it. I, 26 female, am allergic to a plant that lives in the state my husband, 29 male, and I have moved to. We aren't sure which plant yet but are narrowing it down kinda. My doctor has told me not to do any yard work whatsoever because I have an allergic reaction every time. Full body rash and swollen joints for like a week. Wearing gloves and protective clothes has not helped. My husband knows all of this. Yesterday he mowed, and pressured me into helping him rake up grass and weeds. I didn't want to and I mentioned that I could have an allergic reaction, but he said that he needed help and that I would be fine. Against my better judgment I thought that if I just raked and didn't physically touch anything I would be fine. I didn't want to refuse him when he insisted. Today I have a rash all over and a lot of swelling and I feel like shit. I normally meal prep for the next week on Sundays. This morning I half-assed threw me some salads in Tupperware for next week and called it a day. I eat a lot of easy stuff that doesn't require cooking, so it's fine. My husband on the other hand eats like 15 pounds of meat a week as well as vegetables and sides. It usually takes me hours to cook his food and it's very draining. I told him he needs to cook his food for the next week, because I'm too tired and my skin feels awful. He got mad and said he'd just eat takeout since he wants to relax on his last day off. So now I have to freeze all the meat so it doesn't go to waste. He only cooks once or twice a year. He thinks it's not fair for me to not feed him since I agreed to rake and it isn't his fault I had an allergic reaction. I am not trying to punish him, but I'm really suffering right now and I just don't have it in me. I also do think it wasn't fair for him to pressure me into doing something he knows I medically shouldn't do. Am I the asshole for not feeding my husband? Edit. Dang, you guys really hate my husband, haha. He's actually a pretty decent guy. I think this post just portrayed him in a bad light. He works 80 hours a week to support me while I go to school, and he still manages to do at least half of the cleaning. I talked to him and he said his back was just hurting and he was stressed out from work and he wasn't thinking. He apologized and brought me dinner while I laid on the couch. I'm not doing his meal prep this week because I really just can't, but we both came to terms with it. He'll feed himself and I'll try to manage my skin as best as I can. It looks awful and feels worse. He's not a lazy guy, he works hard to make things up in other areas, he just hates cooking. Which, to be fair, I hated yard work even before we moved to this shitty state where I'm allergic to everything. You need to move back to whatever, safe for you to actually exist outside, place you came from. Your husband and his pounds of meat can rot. He technically did cause you to have an allergic reaction. He pressured you into going outside and doing yard work when you have no damned idea what sets you off. But he knows something out there does, and he doesn't gaff. And now he is whining you won't cook for him. Oh my God. Not the asshole. Please rethink this relationship. He insisted you put your health at risk and then blamed you for risking your health and convinced you it's your fault and he shouldn't have to take responsibility for the choices he pressured you into. This is a form of abuse and you're falling for it hook, line and sinker. People like him don't improve, they only get worse. Are you able to move out and away from him? Have you got family or friends you can stay with? Please, if you can, speak to your doctor at your next appointment and tell them how you are being treated at home. Not the asshole. Even if he hadn't caused an allergic reaction, which he did, he is a full-grown adult with the ability to cook for himself. If he doesn't know how to, he looks for a tutorial online and leaves you out of it. You are not his servant. Not the asshole, and to be honest, I'd be questioning the relationship because it doesn't sound like he cares much about you and just expects you to do everything for him. Not the asshole, and you are entitled to not meal prep for him any damn time you want regardless of what else is going on.